I don't know what it's like for you when somebody says, hey, how are you? How are you feeling? How was your day? I know for me, a lot of times it's like, it's a very difficult question to answer, because at the end of the day, it's like I'm overwhelmed, I may be exhausted. The question is, what do I need? What do I do with that? How do I process it? How do I make sense of it? Because there's probably a lot of things that I need, but I'm so overwhelmed. My system is so overloaded. If we were put it in like electrical terms, like there's so much current coming through the breaker that the breaker box is about to blow. Now, the good thing is the breaker box keeps the house from catching on fire. So in some ways, that breaker box for you and I is a good indicator to say, hey man, you need to take a chill pill, because you're about to overload the system. And if you do, and this thing blows, then there's going to be some other natural consequences to that. So if you are perpetually or chronically, acutely feeling this system, this feeling of overwhelmed, then it'd be a great opportunity for you to take some time to identify each of those experiences and really feelings of what you're feeling, and where that feeling is coming from, and then what you need in response to that. It's much like learning another language, honestly. Like when you're learning, if I only know one language. I took French and I practiced German, and I don't really speak much Spanish. But I know if I were learning another language, it would take a lot of time and take a lot of practice. And so identifying and discerning your feelings is very much like that. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. It requires you to slow down. It requires you to be clumsy. It requires you to not know. It requires you to need help. The typical response from most people when they're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted is to try harder, which is counterintuitive, right? Because you're already tired, you're already exhausted, you're already overwhelmed, and now you're going to double down on that and do more to try to get ahead or to catch up. So if your response, if your kind of knee-jerk reaction to feeling overwhelmed is to check out, numb out, act out, or work harder, do more, go faster, those responses are dead ends. They create just this unvirtuous cycle, this negative cycle. What we do need, though, is the ability to stop, listen, ask ourselves where we are, what do we need, and connect with somebody else around that relationally in an honest way, not in a superficial way, but in a way that is vulnerable, that says, this is where I am, this is what I'm afraid of, this is how lonely it is, this is how scary it is, this is how sad it is, this is how hurt I am. So very different approach than what we've been trained in, what's been modeled for us, but a much healthier approach to addressing that chronic fatigue or that chronic state of being overwhelmed.